Serious, what's a scary science fact that the public knows nothing about?
A CME, coronal mass ejection, is the most likely civilization-ending disaster to come from space. The sun emits them regularly, and they hit the Earth every few hundred years. The last one occurred in the 1890s, but society at the time was less susceptible to the effects. Were one to hit the Earth today, it would basically destroy all the tech infrastructure on whichever side of the planet is facing the sun at the time. This would knock the affected hemisphere back into the stupid ages, and it would take decades to recover, altering the global balance of power forever. It's only a matter of time. We could mitigate the effects, but it would be expensive, so we haven't and likely never will. At least not until the problem becomes real to people. By then, it will be too late. This is a much more likely scenario than an asteroid impact.
When you get killed by army ants, it's not bites that kill you. It's invasion of the lungs.
50% of insects have disappeared since 1970. Insect population is down 27% in the last 30 years. Declining between 1 and 4% each year, depending on the genus.
Bananas could be gone within a year. We only grow one type of banana tree. If a specific infection occurs that kills that kind of tree, it won't spread like wildfire, and we have no alternative. Apparently this already happened now so long ago.
Researchers have found viruses in the Arctic permafrost that have been frozen for thousands of years. One of these viruses, pithavirus, was dormant for 30,000 years until the researchers revived it, and it infected the amoebas that were placed in the tank with it. Which of course presents a scary scenario. What happens when the ice melts away and viruses are released that haven't been in contact with humans for 10,000 plus years?
All onions, all veggies in the allium family, are toxic to dogs. Worst-case scenario then can develop AIHA, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, whereas the body destroys its own red blood cells. This disease is about 80% fatal. My dog caught it, we are not sure from where, but his was a primary disease, not a result of a cancer. We think he was eating leeks out of the garden. Took a week in the hospital, 2 blood transfusions, and about 6 months of meds to get him back. He started at 45 pounds and was down to 19 pounds at the worst part of it.
Late to the party, but here goes. There are weaponized strains of anthrax which can remain viable and dangerous for 40 plus years after release. In 1942, the UK tested an anthrax bomb on Groenland Island, killing a flock of sheep in days, some died in hours. Examinations showed that the spores could remain active for decades, and decontamination proved impossible at the time. The project was scrapped. Fast forward to 1981, an eco-terrorist group smuggled a sample off of the island and threatened the UK government with releasing it if the island wasn't decontaminated. The spores were still active and deadly. It took 4 years to plan and execute the cleanup, using 280 tons of formaldehyde in a seawater solution, and removing 7 hectares worth of soil to a depth of 3 feet, about 58,000 tons of topsoil, where the concentration was too high for the juice to do the job. The island was confirmed clean in 1990, 4 years after cleanup began.
The demon core was a spherical 6.2 kilogram, 14 pounds, subcritical mass of plutonium 89 millimeters, 3.5 in diameter, manufactured during World War II by the United States nuclear weapon development effort, the Manhattan Project, as a fissile core for an early atomic bomb. It was involved in 2 criticality accidents, on August 21, 1945, and May 21, 1946, each of which killed a person.
1 in 3 people will get cancer. It's pretty fucked.
Heart muscle cells don't reproduce much in adults, roughly 1% per year. If you have an infarction or other stressor that kills those cells, then your heart won't be able to grow new cells to replace the dead ones. This is why patients with diseases like heart failure end up needing a heart transplant. Trying to get this process to happen is a major goal for many cardiac researchers. Edit, thank you all for making this such an engaging and interesting discussion. I've been studying heart cells for 10 plus years now, basic scientist, no clinical training, and it's so refreshing to read many diverse perspectives and on-point questions.
Anthrax spores can remain viable for decades in the soil or animal products such as dried or processed hides and wool.
When doing an autopsy, they don't put the organs back where they belong, they are all stored in the belly.
Approximately 60%, in some reports, of the world's population have the parasite Toxoplasma Gondii in their brain. For a long time it's thought to have been a benign presence, but recent statistical research shows that it may have an impact on things like levels of anger and rates of accidents and suicide. When Gondii is on rats, it changes their behavior so that they find the smell of cat urine sexually appealing. So they find cats and get eaten. In the gut of the cat, the parasite can reproduce.
Trauma can cause structural changes to your brain. PTSD is literally an injury.
Scientists don't know exactly how acetaminophen works to relieve pain and reduce fever. They have an idea but nothing for sure. But yet it's the most commonly used pain reliever in the world.
I only recently learned that when you get sunburned, the burn isn't because of skin cell damage. The UV radiation damages the DNA. Then the skin cells decide to commit suicide and fall off, so that the damaged DNA doesn't produce cancer. I'll never be mad at my skin peeling again.
The United States has lost and never recovered at least 6 nuclear devices.
Prions are terrifying. They're basically zombies at a protein level. They're misshapen in such a way that causes them to misshape other proteins. Normal methods of disinfection don't work. This makes researching them a very tricky matter, as while most cases involve eating infected meat, mishandling prion samples is all it takes. Tricky part is, there is no treatment either. Once they get in you, they are 100% fatal. It has been a while since I've studied them, so this picture may be incomplete, but I do know they're always fatal.
If your dog swims in a lake after receiving a spot-on flea treatment, it absolutely decimates the invertebrate population. A large dog swimming in 8 Olympic swimming pools worth of water soon after treatment will leach enough neurotoxin to kill 50% of the lake's invertebrate population within 48 hours. I say after, I mean relatively soon after, within say a day, to have an effect quite this devastating. The leaching does reduce over the month, but it's still there, and the effect of multiple dogs still allows for a terrible buildup of chemicals.
DuPont knowingly infected over 90% of the American population with PFOAs, a harmful plastic that has a half-life of 20 years. Lawsuit is still ongoing, but no one seems to be bothered at it. This link will talk about the different trials and settlements that DuPont and companies alike have faced. Also talks about what a PFOA and its dangerous effects.
Antimicrobial resistance, the bacteria are getting resistant to the drugs much faster than the rate at which we are producing new drugs. Soon we will reach a scenario when antibiotics cannot treat simple yet lethal infections.
Brain aneurysms can be completely unpredictable and can happen at any time in your life, no matter how healthy you are. A kid who I went to high school with at the age of 16 just did not wake up one morning, and his cause of death was a brain aneurysm.
Inside the permafrost around the world, there is stored about twice the amount of CO2 we currently have in our atmosphere. That's why permafrost must stop melting. Edit, thanks for all the nice serious comments. Edit 2, thanks for the awards, winky face. I appreciate it.
An asteroid passed the Earth in September that was about 40-90 m in diameter, and we didn't see it until a day later because it traveled towards us from the direction of the Sun. It passed us at half the distance from the Earth to the Moon.
Before the vaccine, the number of people who have had HPV infection and have had at least one sexual partner was 85% in females and 91% of males. By far the most common STI.
So many people will struggle with infertility. It's not talked about or really discussed in middle school or high school in health class. When it happens, it's such a shock to the families, and they are completely unprepared. The numbers are going up as well. Statistical 1/4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. which is pretty high, but again, miscarriage isn't discussed.
Microplastics revealed in the placentas of unborn babies.
Update: by popular demand, the research paper on requirements for safe drinking water and formaldehyde in drinking water. A lot of people in rural towns with an elevated cemetery around, this happens in Ireland a lot, there is formaldehyde leaking into the drinking water. But it won't kill you, but the thought of drinking dead people juice is probably equally bad. Sorry, not sorry. Update: I have a PDF link to the scientific research paper from WHO concerning the requirements for safe drinking water, and it covers the entire formaldehyde in drinking water issue, if anyone is interested. I read it and I can confirm it's true, but not detrimental to your health, even long-term thumbs up light skin tone.
The universe's Higgs field might be metastable, a false vacuum, and decay at any moment, destroying everything.
Coal plants release 500 times more radiation directly into the atmosphere than any nuclear fission plant ever could.